Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and Joe Biden may have just gotten the worst news of his entire presidency. The entire presidency. And heading into 2024, it's really bad. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. CNN has always been more of a friendlier territory for Joe Biden. I do think they have a tendency to try to be as down the middle as they can. A lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. But the fact is, they do call balls and strikes quite often. They had a report just yesterday that showed exactly what the American voters think of President Joe Biden, the job he's done on infrastructure, the job he's done on the border, the job he's done on security at the border, the job he's done on national security, the job he's done on the economy. And the numbers are not good for Joe Biden. In fact, they're abysmal. They're absolutely horrific if you're trying to get reelected. And CNN, they sounded the alarm big time on the numbers they were seeing. I want you to watch this report because it's important. Before we do that, I want to make sure you do like, comment, share, and subscribe because it really helps us out. I'm Carmine Sabia for Explain America. We love you guys. God bless you. Take care, everybody.
It's really telling. Thanks for sharing it with us. And our panel is back here. Look, let's just sort of put in context the politics of this for President Biden and how important it is. Just one example from a Monmouth approval rating poll question. If you look at the issues and how he fares, infrastructure, jobs, climate change, inflation, immigration, he is down 26%. That is not good.
It's not good at all. And I think that part of the trip yesterday to Mexico by senior Biden administration officials was obviously to have these diplomatic conversations, but also to make the broader administration's point that this is a regional issue that requires regional cooperation. And sort of trying to blunt the criticism from Republicans that you're hearing over and over, saying that these were Biden's border policy that's causing these numbers at the border. But that certainly doesn't change the fact that he's under considerable political pressure over immigration and that his administration is probably preparing to make some significant compromises on immigration next month.
Pressure because of the situation at the border, pressure because Republicans are trying as much as they can to blame Biden and his policies. But it's also big city mayors, Democratic mayors in big cities. Let's listen to some of them.
We cannot continue to do the federal government's job. We have spoken to FEMA and other federal officials who have expressed concern about the border's surge, but not offered additional help.
Without significant intervention from the federal government, this mission will not be sustained.
Denver finds itself right now at ground zero in trying to resolve and respond to the migrant crisis. We need more federal support to be able to manage this amount of inflow.
Yeah, I mean, that right there is the problem that Joe Biden has, right, in a nutshell, because it is no longer, for a long time, this conversation was these, red state mayors and governors are being alarmist, and we have to focus on the humanitarian issue here. Obviously, the U.S. has a humanitarian responsibility to, it's written into the law, into our asylum laws. But this crisis has gotten worse, not better. Frankly, the strategy that these red state governors have had of sending a lot of these migrants up to blue states has worked from a political perspective. And it is very, very hard for these cities to absorb them. The Biden team, I think, knows that, or they wouldn't be willing to make these concessions in these policy negotiations that they're having with Capitol Hill. I mean, the cynical political way of looking at it might be to say, well, maybe Republicans don't want to let them do it because they'd prefer this continue to be a problem for them in the 2024 election.
Oh, how cynical.
I know.
And yet, not maybe that far off.
And yet possibly
no.
realistic.
Well, but that brings me to what I was going to point out, which I think is important to point out, like every single time we talk about immigration, which is how many times have we stood in hallways outside of negotiations on Capitol Hill
been weeks,
that were fruitless. Yeah, probably that were fruitless for almost 2 decades to fix the federal immigration policy. So yes, President Biden is currently the president, but this is a problem that has not been fixed for so long.
Right. And we can't ignore the fact that we had 4 years of President Trump, who made fixing immigration a central part of his campaign message and then did very little about it beyond some segments of border wall. And I think you're right that this is one of the most complicated, complex issues. Number one, because it's not just the people coming across who need services, but you got to think about health and safety and food and shelter. But then there's the commerce issue that comes when you start shutting down crossings or limiting crossings. That also has to be factored in. And then you also have to think about the political climate, where I think that's what you brought up, Casey, that the political climate, as it ebbs and flows, there isn't always truly the will to get it done. That's something we saw with Senate Republicans back during the Bush years, where there was an agreement that a lot of people kind of in hindsight say, we wish we had got it done then when we had the best chance. The question remains whether there's truly a chance now. There's a lot more writing on it now. There's foreign policy that's connected with the border security issue. Maybe that'll get something done because there's more at stake now, but it's just been such an elusive solution to the problem.
It has, and very, very potent politically.